In this video, I'll show you how you can support your PI/PO cloud integration development a lot easier with an integrated tool. So why your current logging does not work. So most companies have some kind of a change management process where you're filling in some information in an Excel document or a ticketing system saying, I've changed this message mapping for this reason. And the challenge is it's not really capturing all the things that's actually changed. And you may just say, I've changed the message map and I added some fields maybe. If you are able to do that, if you just changed one field, you can probably do that. If you change multiple, you just say, well, all of these fields may be something like that, or added this functionality into it. And that becomes really difficult to read. And if you want to search and figure out why someone did something earlier, it becomes really challenging to figure out what was the reason for this change. This documentation is also never updated, so you don't really know if it's accurate. So it's a lot easier to just check the code and see what you have there and go from there. And it's really difficult to really see what was changed if you come back on it. Why did we change this message mapping at this point for doing these things? That's why we want to automate this process, and so you're really ensuring that you're testing all the different changes that you have made. So if you have changed the message mapping, all the different icons where this message mapping is used, you want to change those or test those. We also want to know precisely what was changed, what was the parameters that was changed in this message mapping. And then from each of these different objects, we want to know what are the real logging information. So that is what we're trying to encapsulate in this development process. The process would start up in this example with us creating an alert from a PI message that's failing for some reason. And then we can actually create some rules that allow us to handle these alerts. So we're sending up component-based message alerting, fetching out information, and then we can, with XPath, specify precisely what we want to do if a specific message occurs. Is this new? Do we need to inform something? Is it just something we can do with a few retries and then create an exception afterwards? Once we have done this, you want to perform your development in the repository Developer Studio to fix the problem. Then next is you want to create a ticket and assign this to either the incident from the above, or if the business says, hey, we want this new development done, you can also create the ticket directly from that ticketing system. And then based on these objects that you have assigned, we want to run the correct tests. So let me show you how this actually works. So here we have the ERT application, and the first thing we'll test is the support tool. Here we got some different consumers that we have created, and here we can see our list of different rules that we have added. And we can see we got a rule here that says something about some REST adapter error if these things occur, and we can see this is what we're getting from the component message alerting this information, and for some of them we would get PI message information if it's relevant. So that's really easy to set up these alerts. And if we have an alert here, so we can take this one. For instance, here we can see we're getting it's this rule that has caught it. We can see some information about it, cancel or resend message if possible. What we want to do is we want to create a ticket for this. So we're creating a ticket 5, and to comply with ITIL, we have incident, service request, change request, and gap. And if there's anything else, we can probably also figure that one out. And you got some different statuses. So this is just a basic workflow. So basic workflow tool. It's not like we will replace your service desk functionality. Just make this a lot easier to run. So we've got a link here you can add into your service item. That way everybody can see what you have changed. So I've already done some development, and the easiest way to see is just what was changed last, and we can see we got this this invoice here, or this message mapping. That seems like it's a good idea. We can also check this communication channel. We will say save. So now we have added these two things to our ticket, and next up is we want to see what kind of testing objects we have on these things. So we can see we got some default tests here. We got some tests on this one, and that was quite a lot. And on this one we also got some tests. So we add these, and now we can see we have added test cases for all of these icons, but we're missing some test cases for number 3. So we could easily go in, create some test cases for number 3 and start using it. So now we have created our test cases. We want to run these, or we have assigned our test cases to this ticket. So we open our view here. We would then just run all of these tests. So it will start sending these messages into the PI system, process them, and then it will validate if they are correct or not. Once they have been downloaded, it will see was this what we expected or not. So now we can see we have got some errors on this. So let's see what was the reason for this. We can check this error. We can see our differences, and we can see there was actually something that was changed in this message mapping. And then we want to validate, was this a correct change or something that some people were just doing because they wanted to. So we can go back to our change tracking tool, and in here we can see all our different changes. If we just sort our last, we will get our message mapping, and we can check view the difference that was made between two different versions. So we'll in turn compare the internal payload, and here we can see our next differences. So it's really easy to go through this. So this is also the way you would compare normal documents, and we can see that on this pricing line there was some changes on this. And this was the error we have doing a multiply. We can see a function up here with 1.2, which correspond to results we're getting. Then obviously we need to look if this is what was actually supposed to happen or not. And obviously this will be laid out a little better in the future, but now it's just the plain old version of it. So with this tool you have the ability to see really what was changed in your process, who did it, and we'll also add some more loggings, and we can actually see what are the incidents that occurred. We created this one. So we got a lot of information regarding what was going on here. So this tool is obviously not going to replace your normal help desk functionality in Solma, Jira, whatever kind of tool you're using, but it is a better way of documenting all the different things that's going on, and you can just use a link from this tool to this document or the ticket information. Then people can see what was really changed for this ticket, and you can also obviously have the link back from them saying this is gap number whatever, and use the same number as you have in your ticketing system. And later we'll add the functionality to export all the different changes that you have made in a document you can then attach to your help desk. So some of the future things we'll be working on is obviously this Excel report. We want to do logging in your full landscape. So once you have assigned a message mapping in your development system, has transported this to QA, we want to do the same validation in QA, assign the same objects to the ticket in QA, run the test again. Then we want to do support also of cloud integration. Right now we can do testing of cloud integration, but we need to fetch these metadata of messages also and allow you to validate it in the same way. Then we want to create tickets automatically, so we can create some kind of continuous integration test. So whenever someone has activated changes, we would run a test that says for all of these objects that were changed, what are the tests that we have, run them all, and then give you a report saying, hey, we ran this, we got these errors, and these are the results for it. Then we want to be able to fetch also the information from transport and validate if the transports correspond to what was logged in these incidents. So that's a little about what we're trying to do with this tool. So the ERT, a simple tool that is able to support your full development process. You can learn more at figaf.com/IRT.